"Don't open this," my mom repeated as I approached my room. I didn't answer, just turned the knob. One question no one would answer. What did they hide in there for 8 years? I arrived on Friday morning. My mom didn't open the door. She left it on the latch and texted me, "Door's open. We're out for groceries. Make yourself at home, smiley face." I didn't have a key. It's been 2 years. When I walked in, the TV was on. On the floor was a package from Amazon signed in my brother's name, T. Graves. He didn't live with them. Officially. I set my suitcase against the wall and went into the kitchen. My Starbucks tumbler was still on the top shelf. No one had touched it. There, too, was my old jar of jam covered in mold, and a check in my name from AT&T from 2022. Open but unpaid. I sat down and waited for them. They came in with groceries, 2 bags. Cheese, eggs, clamato. Not 1 bag of almonds I had asked for. Mom said, "There was no point in buying any, you won't be gone long. We made your bed in the living room. The couch folds out. I thought I'd be in my room. Oh, Lily, it's all crammed in there. You don't live here anymore." That's putting it mildly. Like it wasn't about them taking my room, it was like I was trying to take someone else's. I didn't argue. I watched Dad put her reusable bags in their places, and I thought I'd come for nothing. But I stayed. Dad had just recently gotten out of the hospital after surgery. Mom's hard of hearing. No one knows how to handle their insurance claims, and they always called me our Lily at times like this. When I had to fill out forms called Blue Cross, figure out copay. Oh, no one asked. They just said, "Everything is under control." So I went to check the accounts anyway. The next day I walked into the office. This used to be my room. The wooden Lillian's room sign still hung on the door. Underneath it was a piece of paper. In caps. "Do not open. Private." What's that? Oh, we put everything in there. Tom's bringing stuff in. He's moving closer and we're getting his room ready for him in the meantime, Mom said, pouring herself a cup of coffee. My room? Well, it's empty. You're in Chicago, you don't have time for this. I said it was fine. Asked if I could at least take my old laptop. I'd left it in the closet. Mom froze. I think we threw it out. Nothing works on there anymore. Half an hour later, I checked the box of papers I'd brought with me. 2 printed copies of my passport and 1 power of attorney I'd made in case of Dad's surgery back in 2021 were missing. I asked, "Are you sure you brought it?" Mom said, "You're under stress right now. You could have forgotten." I didn't say anything. Then I went out. And in that moment I realized that if I opened that door, there was no going back. What happened next changed everything. Subscribe and stay. You don't want to miss how it unfolded. I went to CVS to buy my parents' meds to pay for their copay. Their insurance didn't work again. I wasn't surprised. Turns out my mom had put in an old card. They hadn't renewed it in 2 years. I asked, "Do you have a copy of your new insurance?" "It's in a drawer somewhere. See for yourself." That evening, they asked me to connect their TV to Netflix. While I was figuring out the router, a message popped up on the screen. Primary account holder T. Graves. Email, tomgraves@gmail. Is that Tom's account? I asked. Well, he's paying for us. I mean, you're busy. Then Dad came out of the bedroom and said, "Don't touch your room, Lily. There are important things stored there now." What kind of things? You wouldn't understand anyway. I nodded silently, and then I felt a sort of click. Like I was reminded. I'm not at home here. I'm here as a service. In the morning, I went to check the outlets in my old room, under the pretense of installing a charger. The outlets worked. The door was closed. A second sheet appeared on it. Do not enter. Seriously. I took a picture of the door. Then I took a picture of the letter from AT&T. Then I went to the kitchen and took my mug off the cupboard. I didn't drink from it. I just put it in my bag, just in case. I went to Wells Fargo to check the activity on their account. The manager came out 20 minutes later and said I was no longer listed as an authorized user. Is this a mistake? I asked my mom. No, Tom said it was safer that way. Less risk. Tom, the brother who lives in Arizona, who hasn't visited since last Christmas. I went to the DMV to update the address on my driver's license. Turns out someone had already listed their address as primary residence in my name. I didn't argue. I just told the girl behind the counter. I need this information deleted. It's urgent. That night I went back into the office. I checked to see if the door was closed. It was propped up by a chair. There's a new piece of paper. Seriously, Lillian? Stop. I didn't laugh. But I noted to myself, 3 pieces of paper instead of 1 conversation. That was all they needed to keep me at a distance. Mom set a plate of dinner down for me. You look tired, Lily. Why don't you go home early? I looked at her. Then I looked at the plate. Chicken, rice, vegetables. Everything I hadn't eaten in 10 years. Thank you, I said, and put the plate in the fridge. The next morning I woke up to someone whispering outside my office door. She's going to leave anyway. As long as she stays out of it. I pretended to sleep. Then I got up. I got dressed. I checked my bag. I grabbed my car keys. And before I left, I took the 3rd sheet off the door. Folded it up. I put it in my wallet. I didn't know what I was going to do with it yet. But I knew I'd keep it. When I got home, Tom was sitting in the living room. I'm here on business, he said. I needed to bring something back. I nodded. He held up the keys to the office. Hung them on the hook like everything was in order. Can I stay here for a couple days? My parents said you were leaving early anyway. Sure, I said. At that moment I opened my Chase app. My card, the one my parents had on file, appeared frozen. With no notification. I checked Zelle. The last transfer, $420, had gone to TG's account for utilities. I hadn't paid their bills in 3 months. But as it turned out, my old card was still tied to one of the accounts. I called. It's just a balance, Tom said. I've closed everything. Don't worry about it. I'm not worrying about it. I'm just deleting the card. He shrugged his shoulders. You do as you please. But Lily, you're overreacting. This is family. That word family sounded like the password to a safe that no longer worked. I canceled my Amazon Prime subscription, which included their targeted delivery, stopped auto payments, took all logins out of shared access. I was sitting on the back porch when UPS brought another box. It had my name on it. Inside was a phone case. It's new. For an iPhone 15. I have an iPhone 12. I've never ordered a case. I realized they were using my name as a convenient cover, as an address, as a way to get one, but they didn't ask. They never did. And that's when I decided tomorrow I would open the door. By myself. I woke up at 6. It was raining outside. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I walked to the study door. The 3rd sheet was still in my bag. I pulled down a chair. Turned the knob. The door was unlocked. I went in. The room wasn't empty. Everything was neat. Boxes, a closet, an old desk. On the wall, a whiteboard. With a plan. Names. Sums. My name in 3 places. I recognized an old copy of my passport. It was on a shelf labeled Bank Docs. Next to it, letters from Wells Fargo and Chase. Open. Some were fresh. I didn't touch anything. Just took pictures. Then I turned on my laptop. It had an account called Tadman. I opened the shared folder. There, a scan of my social 3 PDF files signed _Lillian _ 2021. Claim _ submitted. Refunds and run for home. I checked the date. A week ago. When I came out, my mom was standing in the hallway. You didn't have to. I'd already seen everything. She closed her eyes. It's for the family, Lily. It's for us. Tom said you were okay with it. We thought you. I'm not dead. Mom didn't say anything. She just went to the coffee maker. Turned it on. Like nothing had happened. That evening Tom tried to talk. Sat next to me. Smiled. Confident. I know you're angry. But you realize. We were just using what we had. It was a way out. You're strong. You're gonna be okay. You're not gonna leave us, are you? I didn't answer. We're family, he said. I got up. I walked away. I opened my laptop. I logged into my Experian account. I clicked freeze my credit. Then I opened Chase. Removed all external authorizations. Closed one of the old cards. Opened a power of attorney foreclosure application. In the night I got a text message. Are you serious? After all we've done for you. I didn't respond. In the morning my mom left a note on the table. You've ruined everything. Tom won't be able to. I didn't read any further. I just tore it up and threw it away. I made copies of everything I saw in the room. Photographs, documents, scans. I took them to the bank. Then I took them to the local police station. I haven't filed a report. Not yet. I just left the information. Said I'd come back if I needed to. When I got home, Tom was gone. Mom sat there in silence. Didn't look at me. I made you some coffee, she said. Do you want some? No, I answered. I have things to do. I went out. I got in the car. I turned on the navigator. And for the first time in years, I didn't drive in the direction they asked me to go. I went in the direction I chose. After dinner, they gave me a family talk. Dad sat on the edge of the couch. Tom stood against the wall with his arms crossed. Mom was between them, with a handkerchief in her hands. No one was crying, but they all looked like they were at a funeral. We didn't want you to find out this way, Tom began. It was a temporary plan, just to stabilize the situation. You have a good credit history, Dad added. It's helped us. All of us. You've always helped us, Lily, Mom whispered. And now this? Through the police? I haven't called anyone, I said. Bye. Tom took a step forward. What are you going to get out of this? Do you really want this whole thing to fall apart? For Mom to have another crisis? Mom has a hearing problem, not a heart problem. We're not criminals, Dad hissed. We're just a family. Family is about shared resources. Everything we have we share. First with you. Now with Tom. I'm not a part of it anymore. Don't be so dramatic, Tom said. It's just papers. My papers. I stood up, pulled the Chase statement, the letter from the DMV, the power of attorney, the scan of the social out of the folder. Put it on the table. From now on, I'm not connected to your accounts. I've frozen credit, blocked access, disabled all cards. Are you out of your mind? Tom said. This is going to hurt everyone. It's going to hurt you. Not me. Dad looked away. Mom sniffed her nose. Tom looked on as if he were a stranger. You're not part of this anymore, are you? He asked. I didn't answer. Just walked out into the hallway. Closed the folder. Turned off the light. I heard my mom say, you shouldn't have shown her anything. You should have just waited. I went downstairs and turned on the coffee maker. Not for them. For me. I didn't need coffee, I needed a pause. The next morning I went to UPS Notary to make copies and certify papers. I took everything with me. Powers of attorney, old letters, laptop screens, a list of transactions from Zelle. The girl behind the counter asked, Is this for the court? Not yet, I replied. It's for the defense. I paid the fee through Venmo. I went outside. It was quiet. Only a neighbor was washing his car this morning. He waved. I nodded. I spent the day on the computer. Canceled my Verizon family plan, which still had Tom's Apple Watch on it. Closed the delivery address on Amazon. Upgraded access to Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. I put in two-factor authentication. Then I wrote to the DMV requesting that they revoke all applications with my name on them for the last year. And finally deleted an old email that someone was still using. When that was done, I opened a blank Google Doc and wrote, Personal. Do not touch. No drama. Just a headline. I printed it out and put it in my travel bag. Then I called Chase and said, I want to confirm that I am no longer responsible for the Graves account. They confirmed it. I wrote down the date and time. I didn't feel victory. Just emptiness. Like I'd pulled myself out of the construct I'd been living in since my 20s. And now I was looking at her from the outside. She was still standing. But without me. In the kitchen I found an old recipe box. In it were notes I'd left for my mom 20 years ago. Reminders, shopping lists, tea recipes. They'd been preserved. She folded them neatly. I took one that said, Don't forget lemons. Just put it in my purse. Not as a memento. Just as a reminder. They knew I always reminded them. I did. I brought it. Now I won't. I went to the window. The rain was over. The asphalt glistened. There was a fourth leaf on the windowsill. Blank. No writing. Probably hadn't been finished in time. I took that too. Before I left, I went back to my room. I opened the closet. There were my old shoes, black, low-heeled. I took them. Not because I needed them. Just because they were mine. I left the key on the shelf in the hallway. No note. No explanation. Just the key. And I walked out. I sat in the car for a few minutes. Didn't turn anything on. Didn't look at my phone. Just breathed. For the first time in a long time. No expectations. No one called. No one asked. Just me and the road. I turned down another street. Past the old school. Past the library where I once volunteered. Nothing had changed. Just me. I left on Monday. Didn't say where I was going. Didn't say why. I just loaded my stuff in the trunk, turned off the hall light and closed the door. They didn't come out to say goodbye. Mom knew I was leaving. She just said, "Do as you please." I nodded. In the car were all my papers, laptop scans. Old stuff, the bare minimum. Just the stuff that belonged to me. At the gas station I bought a coffee. Opened my phone. Turned off the family calendar on Google. Remote access to Apple ID too. 2 hours later I got a call from Tom. I didn't answer. Then I got a text. "You're acting like a stranger. We tried for the best. This could have all been resolved." I blocked the number. Then I forwarded all the messages to my email. Just in case. I stayed at the hotel for one night. It was quiet. No calls. No requests. I exhaled for the first time in 3 years. In the morning I found a temporary place to stay through Zillow. A small house in an old neighborhood. Garden, mailbox, wooden porch. A neighbor, a widow in her 70s, brought me pastries and told me that here people don't ask too many questions. I thanked her. The first day I bought a new room. Set up an account in my name. Opened an account at credit union in another state. No one knew where I was. No one was supposed to know. I wrote one letter to my lawyer. Briefly, who used my information, what documents were executed, what accesses were changed. I included copies, dates, transactions. I asked them not to proceed without my consent. It wasn't an ultimatum. It was a boundary. A week later I got a letter from my mother. In the mail. A real one. "You could have at least called. Dad and I aren't feeling well. Tom's away. It's all on me. No, I'm sorry." No explanation. Just a request. No sign of remorse. I didn't answer. A day later another letter. "Are you serious? After everything we've done?" I put it in the drawer. No irritation. Just where all the papers that didn't matter anymore were. They didn't know my address. Just guessed the city. It was a test. A month later I changed my name. Not as a sign of renunciation. Just to close the file. At the DMV the girl said, "This is the second change in a year. Is everything okay?" "Now it is," I replied. No one else called. No one wrote. The house where I grew up was no longer mine. But I had a different one now. No more leaves on the door. No more access to my accounts. No more, "We thought you were okay with it." I kept everything, copies, scans, messages. But not for the trial. It was for the silence. To never forget what it looks like to be in a system where you're just a tool. Now I'm not in the system. Now I'm a part. No yelling. No demands. No final word. I'm just gone. That's all. I sold the old car. It still had my parents' address on the registration. I didn't want the DMV to send the tax certificate back there. Re-registered the title, signed the papers at the notary, handed over the keys. Now nothing connected. Old accounts, Amazon, Hulu, Blue Cross, all closed. I created new ones. To a new email. With a different billing address. At the post office I set up a redirection for 6 months. To make sure I didn't lose anything important. Even though nothing important ever came from them again. An old aunt on my dad's side sent a card. It said, "You've always been smart. Don't feel guilty. They know what they did." I didn't cry. But I left the card on the fridge. Sometimes reminding yourself that you're not crazy is more important than forgiveness. I started a regular routine. Walking in the morning. I wrote lists. I telecommuted part-time. Enough to pay my own way. And not ask for anything. Sometimes I dream about conversations. It's like I'm back in that house. Hearing footsteps. But I'd wake up to silence. No voices outside the door. I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. I changed everything I could change. Passwords. Insurance. My address. Last name. But most importantly, the route. Now I was going somewhere where no one looked at me as due. 3 months later, I received the last piece of paper, an official notice to withdraw power of attorney. From that moment on, I was only out for myself. I kept all the documents in a drawer by my bed. Sometimes I'd open them, check them, reread them. Not because I had doubts, but because it's important to remember where family ends and control begins. They were still living in the same house. Still probably using what I had once given them, but now without me. One day I met a woman in a cafe. We got to talking about the weather, about taxes, about how hard it was to find a good doctor. Not once did she say, "Where's your family?" I noted that to myself. It was a good conversation. I signed up for yoga. Bought myself a chair for the garden. I got a flu shot. Life wasn't perfect, but it became my own. When I was offered my old job back, I turned it down. Not because I was afraid. I just didn't want to. I wasn't living in the old context anymore. And I wasn't going back to a place where everything was for the greater good, but not for me. One day I opened a file folder. I looked at the fourth sheet, the one without words. I turned it over. Someone had drawn a key on the back. Crooked. With a marker. Probably Mom. Or Tom. Or Dad. I looked at it. I smiled. Then I threw it away. In the kitchen I made tea. I sat by the window. I wrote a shopping list. The first item was lemons. I didn't forget. The next day I registered to vote with a new address, a new last name. It was a small thing, but it meant I was here. Real. Present. Not temporary. I didn't call. I didn't write. I didn't explain. I just wasn't involved anymore. And that too is a form of love. For myself. I went out on the porch that evening. No one was waiting. No one was controlling. I just sat there, staring at the street. A new street. No other people's expectations. The silence wasn't pressuring. It was normal. I got up, turned off the light, and closed the door. Not to hide, but to end the day. No explanation. No scene. Just to close it. Before I went to bed, I opened my laptop. Remote access is disabled. Third-party logins removed. All that was left was me. My address. My accounts. My house. I turned off the screen. And finally went to bed peacefully.